Ethan had always been haunted by nightmares, but lately they had become unbearable. Each night, as soon as he closed his eyes, he was thrown into a world of unimaginable terror. The dreams were vivid, more real than anything he had ever experienced. Zombified corpses clawed at his flesh. Witches whispered ancient curses in his ears. Grotesque clowns with twisted smiles lurked in the shadows. And hooded figures conducted unholy rituals under a blood-red moon. At first, Ethan dismissed the dreams as stress-induced hallucinations. But as days turned into weeks, he started noticing something disturbing. Small details from his nightmares creeping into his waking life. The flickering streetlight outside his apartment now pulsed like the torches from the eerie rituals in his dreams. The laughter of children in the park carried the same chilling undertone as the demented clowns that tormented him in the dark. His reflection in the mirror sometimes appeared distorted, its eyes hollow and soulless, staring back at him with an intensity that sent shivers down his spine. One night, he found himself in a decaying cathedral, the walls adorned with grotesque murals of suffering and torment. Hooded figures encircled him, chanting in a guttural language that made his skin crawl. A high priest, his face hidden beneath a mask of bone, stepped forward, holding a dagger carved from obsidian. Ethan felt his body stiffen, paralyzed by an unseen force as the dagger was pressed against his chest. The moment the blade pierced his skin, he awoke screaming, drenched in sweat. But the pain didn't fade. A sharp, burning sensation lingered on his chest. Hesitantly, he pulled up his shirt and gasped. There was a fresh wound, exactly where the dagger had struck in his dream. The realization hit him like a sledgehammer. The nightmares weren't just in his head anymore. They were bleeding into reality. Desperate for help, Ethan sought out a sleep specialist, Dr. Miriam Caldwell. Skeptical but intrigued, she suggested a sleep study to monitor his dreams. That night, hooked up to countless wires, Ethan drifted into unconsciousness. The dream came almost instantly. He was back in the cathedral, but this time, Dr. Caldwell stood beside him, observing with a mixture of curiosity and fear. The hooded figures turned to her, their whispers growing louder. The high priest raised his dagger again, this time pointing it at her. Ethan screamed, trying to move, but his limbs refused to obey. The dagger plunged downward. Dr. Caldwell's shriek echoed through the cathedral. Ethan bolted upright, gasping for breath. The room was empty. The monitors beeped steadily. Everything seemed normal, until he noticed the trail of crimson leading from the bed. His heart pounded as he followed it to the adjacent room. Dr. Caldwell was there, but she wasn't breathing. Her eyes were wide open, frozen in terror, a gaping wound in her chest. The same wound Ethan had witnessed in his nightmare. Panic set in. He staggered back, knocking over medical equipment. The staff rushed in, their faces a mix of horror and confusion. Security was called. The police arrived, but Ethan had no answers. How could he explain that his nightmares had killed her? Locked in a psychiatric ward, Ethan's dreams only worsened. His cell transformed into a never-ending labyrinth of horrors each night. The doctors prescribed medication, but nothing helped. He stopped sleeping, afraid of what he might bring into the real world next. But exhaustion won. Sleep was inevitable. When he next opened his eyes, he was no longer in his cell. He stood in the cathedral once more. The hooded figures awaited him, their chants deafening. The high priest lifted his mask, revealing a face that sent Ethan into spiraling madness. It was his own. The realization hit like a thunderclap. He was never waking up. This was his reality now. The nightmares had won. And then the dagger fell. Ethan screamed as the blade sank into his flesh, but the pain was dull, as though he was slipping away from the world he once knew. He felt himself dissolving, his very essence unraveling as the hooded figures closed in. Their whispers became a cacophony, filling his mind with incomprehensible horrors. He awoke, gasping for breath, but something was different. He was in his apartment, bathed in the dim glow of his bedside lamp. His chest burned, but when he looked down, there was no wound, no blood. Was it just another dream? His mind raced as he stumbled to the bathroom, gripping the sink as he peered into the mirror. His reflection grinned. It wasn't his grin. A twisted, malevolent smirk stretched across his reflection's face. Ethan recoiled, heart hammering against his ribs. His reflection moved, but not in sync with him. It raised a hand, Ethan's hand, and pressed it against the glass. From the other side, he watched in horror as his own body, now possessed by something else, smirked, adjusted its collar, and walked away. No one would ever know he was gone, and no one would ever wake up from his nightmares again.